Biggest NHL Busts, Hugh Jessiman. The 2003 NHL Draft is considered to be one of the most talented and impactful drafts in NHL history, producing numerous future stars and Hall of Famers. There were many hits in the first round, and many teams were able to change their fortunes, but there was one player that stands out, not in a good way. In this episode of Biggest NHL Busts, I'll explain why Hugh Jessiman is one of the biggest NHL busts. Drafted 12th overall by the New York Rangers in the 2003 NHL Draft, Hugh Jessiman's size and skill made him an attractive prospect. Standing at 6'6" and weighing over 220 pounds, he was expected to develop into a power forward. However, Jessiman's career did not unfold as expected at the NHL level. He spent most of his professional career playing in the AHL and other minor leagues, with only a few games in the NHL. Despite his potential, he never fully translated his junior success into a long NHL career. In his career, Jessiman only played in 2 NHL games, but he did have some success at the AHL level, scoring 117 goals and 228 points in 498 games. Jessiman is the definition of a bust because he never really made it to the NHL, despite having the raw physical tools to do so. For the New York Rangers, the team selected Jessiman with the 12th pick. They missed out on drafting a franchise-changing talent, as many were drafted after him. Players drafted after Jessiman include Dustin Brown, Brent Seabrook, Zach Parise, Ryan Getzlaf, Brent Burns, Ryan Kessler, Mike Richards, and Corey Perry. Even in the second round, there were perennial all-stars such as Louis Eriksson, Patrice Bergeron, Shea Weber, Corey Crawford, and David Backes. In the later rounds, players like Joe Pavelski, Dustin Byfuglien, Tobias Enstrom, Yaroslav Halak, and Brian Elliott were selected. The 2003 NHL Draft was the wrong draft to select the biggest bust in the draft in the first round. Had the Rangers drafted a different player, it would have changed everything. The big issue with the Rangers in the mid-2000s was that they did not invest in developing their prospects, which resulted in them ending up with an old and overpaid team. This approach would change after Glenn Sather left, but it definitely affected and impacted the Rangers' draft approach heading into this draft, because they were not looking for an immediate impact player. Why is Hugh Jessiman a bust? Despite his high selection, Jessiman only played in 2 NHL games throughout his career, both with the Florida Panthers during the 2010-2011 season. Most of his professional career was spent in the AHL and lower leagues, making his NHL impact negligible compared to his peers. Jessiman faced injuries early in his development, including an ankle injury in his sophomore season at Dartmouth College. This likely hindered his progression, and he struggled to maintain the consistency needed to break into the NHL. Despite his impressive size at 6'6", 230 pounds, and potential to be a power forward, Jessiman didn't develop the necessary skills like skating, playmaking, and hockey IQ that would allow him to succeed at the NHL level. His physicality and presence were supposed to be a strength, but that didn't really translate into NHL success. Being part of the 2003 NHL Draft, which produced many future stars, only amplified the disappointment surrounding Jessiman. Players drafted much later became key contributors to their team, while Jessiman's inability to make an impact stood out even more. Hugh Jessiman is labeled a bust because he was a high draft pick in the legendary draft class. But even if he wasn't in a legendary draft class, he never came close to fulfilling the expectations associated with that draft position.